Hey, everybody, welcome to Bobina's Book Nook, BBN, a division of the Vlogcast. So, today, you guys, we are going to be continuing on our journey in Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever. So we last left off with chapter 32. I think I mislabeled it. I hope I went back and corrected all the thumbnails. We're also running a TikTok live. So we're streaming right now across. Thank you for the like. We're streaming across Facebook, now known as Meta, the X platform, formerly known as Twitter, Rumble, and YouTube, and also TikTok on a separate device. I will figure out the TikTok studio one day, maybe, if I can survive the carnage of lay of people that keep getting their accounts yanked. And yes, I was one of those people. I have started a new one. It will be my last one, so we'll see how it goes. All right, you guys, thank you for joining me. My name is Regina Connell. If you like this content, please hit that like, share, subscribe, share it with a friend, jump in the community. Let's talk about things. All right, guys, so we are continuing on with Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard's Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever. And we left off last where Lincoln had a series of meetings he had to go into with the war cabinet chief, general, whatever, Stanton. And he also took time, because back then, people, it was not uncommon practice for people just to be laying around in the Capitol, lobbyists, citizens, all hoping to meet with some form of government to help in their local areas. Anyway, let's keep going. We're in chapter 36. We're going to read all the way to chapter 39. And we remember that, Lincoln his main goal was to get to his wife, Mary, and keep his word and take that carriage ride with her and then attend the theater with her. They made several invitations to people like Ulysses S. Grant and his wife, which his wife did not want to go because she didn't care for Mary, which, saved Grant's life, I guess. I don't know. I was really pleased to see the way the wives, Dana White's wife came and, they were on vacation and she was like, no, go support the president. And that's what he did. And thank you for being a good wife, to all the good wives out there, for all the ones that want to be a good wife. It's hard. We just keep putting one foot in front of the other. So let's get back into Killing Lincoln, the shocking assassination that changed America forever, by Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard. And we're in chapter 36, Friday, April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C., 8:05 p.m. Would you have us be late? Mary Lincoln chides her husband, standing in his office doorway. Speaker of the House, Schuyler Colfax, dropped by a half hour ago and was immediately granted a few minutes of Lincoln's time. But those few minutes have stretched into a half hour, and across town, the curtain has already risen on our American cousin. They do say a happy wife, happy life. Let's keep going. Making matters worse, the Lincolns still have to stop and pick up their theater guests. So she did manage to wrangle up some guests at the last minute for all the ones that declined. They'll be lucky to arrive at Ford's Theater in time for the second act. It is 5 minutes after 8. Mary wears a gray dress that shows her ample bosom and a matching bonnet. She is eager to get to the theater, but tentative in her approach because Mr. Lincoln's moods have been so unpredictable lately. He's got a lot on his mind, just barely came unscathed from a war. And not so unscathed as a nation. I feel like he did carry the burdens of the nation on him. I feel like, we all have our flaws. Let's continue on. Once again, he has lost all track of time. Speaker Colfax stopped in to discuss the possibility of a special session of Congress. Colfax has plans to leave in the morning on a long trip to California, but says he will cancel it if Lincoln calls the special session. Lincoln won't hear of it. He tells Colfax to enjoy himself and to enlist the support of the Western states in reuniting America. He's leaving it to the states. As he makes to leave, Colfax pauses at the door. He is a true admirer of Lincoln's. Colfax has heard rumors of violence against Lincoln and mentions how afraid he was when Lincoln visited Richmond a week earlier. Why, if anyone else had been president and gone to Richmond, I would have been alarmed too, Lincoln chuckles. But I was not scared about myself a bit. Lincoln asks Colfax if he has plans for the evening, and if not, would he be interested in attending our American cousin? Colfax replies that although he is deeply honored by the invitation, he cannot go. This marks a half dozen rejections for Lincoln today. First, the Grants, then Stanton and Thomas Eckert, then his son Robert just a half hour earlier, and now the Speaker of the House. Finally, Lincoln walks downstairs and out onto the front porch where the presidential carriage awaits. The roof is now closed, which is a comfort on the misty night. Footman Charles Forbes helps Mary up the steps and into her seat as Lincoln says a few final words to Ashmun and Colfax, who have followed him outside. Suddenly, yet another caller steps out of the night, seeking a few moments of Lincoln's time. The president hears the footsteps on the gravel and the familiar voice of former Illinois Congressman Isaac Arnold yelling his name. Lincoln is about to climb into the carriage, but he waits until Arnold is close enough that they can shake hands. Arnold was a staunch backer of Lincoln's during the war's darkest hours, and the resulting dip in the president's popularity cost him his seat in the House. The least Lincoln can do is acknowledge him. He bends his head to listen as Arnold whispers a quiet petition in his ear. Lincoln nods but refuses to give him an immediate answer. "Excuse me now," he begs. "I am going to the theater. Come see me in the morning." The Harris residence at H and 15th Streets is almost right across the street from the White House, so the Lincolns have little time alone before picking up their guests. But in that short interval, Lincoln turns to lighthearted and happy, chatting excitedly about the night. Mary is delighted at her husband's sudden jocularity and his ability to seemingly leave the burdens of the White House behind the instant they leave the grounds, as it should be. As the carriage threads the 7 blocks to the theater, Rathbone, with his mutton chops and broad mustache, sits facing Lincoln, talking about his experiences in the war. Along the way, another impromptu victory parade on Pennsylvania Avenue slows their progress and makes them even later for the show. Once they finally approach Ford's, they can smell and see the tar torches casting their ghostly yellow light on the front of the theater. The carriages of the theater goers line 10th Street. A crowd of soldiers gathers there to see Lincoln and Grant. A barker calls out, "This way to Ford's!" Driver Francis Burns steps down and walks the horses the final few feet to the theater, fearful that the commotion might cause them to bolt. The 2 cavalry escorts trailing the carriage, wheel their horses back to their barracks, knowing that they will return and finish their guard duty once the show ends. It is 8:25 when Lincoln steps through the front door of the theater. A young boy, in a moment will remember for the rest of his life, shyly offers him a program. The president accepts it with a smile. Now rejoined by bodyguard John Parker, the Lincolns and their guests climb the stairs leading to their box. On stage, the actors are more than aware that the audience is in a foul mood. Having bought tickets in hopes of seeing Lincoln and Grant, The theater goers had monitored the state box only to find that neither was in the house. So when Lincoln finally arrives, there is relief on stage. Laura Keene ad-libs a line that refers to Lincoln, making the audience turn toward the back of the theater in order to witness his appearance. William Withers, the orchestra director who had a drink with John Wilkes Booth less than an hour ago, immediately stops the show's music and instructs the band to perform Hail to the Chief. The audience members rise to their feet and cheer, making a noise that Withers can only describe as breathtaking. Lincoln does not seek out much adulation. Indeed, he has an almost morbid dread of causing a scene, but he works the crowd for full effect, allowing Rathbone and Harris to enter the state box first, followed by Mary. Then Lincoln strides forth so the crowd can see him. As patriotic cheering fills the house, he honors his constituents by standing at the edge of the box and bowing twice. That's amazing. Only when the applause dies down does Lincoln ease into the rocking chair on the left side of the box. A curtain partially shields him from the audience, giving him privacy should he decide to nod off and take a nap. The crowd can see him only if he leans forward and pokes his head over the ledge. Otherwise, he is entirely invisible to everyone in the theater, except for those in the state box and the actors on stage. Lincoln takes advantage of the privacy, reaching out for Mary's hand and holding it lovingly. She blushes at such scandalous behavior. "What will Miss Harris make of my hanging on to you so?" she giggles to her husband. "She will think nothing about it," he replies, squeezing her hand but not letting go. Behind Lincoln, a single door leads into the state box. On the other side of the door is narrow, unlit hallway. At the end of the hallway is yet another door. Thank you for the likes. And it is John Parker's job to pull up a chair and sit in front of this door, making sure that no one goes in or out. But on the night of April 14, 1865, as Abraham Lincoln relaxes in his rocking chair and laughs out loud for the first time in months, John Parker gets thirsty. He is bored and he can't see the play. Tulteville's saloon calls to him, pushing his chair against the wall. He leaves the door to the state box unguarded and wanders outside. Footman Charles Forbes is taking a nap in the driver's seat of Lincoln's carriage, oblivious to the fog and drizzle. "How about a little ale?" Parker asks, knowing that Forbes will be an eager drinking buddy. The two walk into Tulteville's and make themselves comfortable. The show won't be over for 2 more hours, plenty of time to have a couple beers and appear perfectly sober when the Lincolns need them again. President Abraham Lincoln's only bodyguard, a man with a career-long history of inappropriate and negligent behavior, has left his post for the last time. Incredibly, he will never be punished for this gross dereliction of duty. And I dare say, let's not let this be repeated. Congressmen, senators, please, let's learn from our history. We must hold people accountable. Chapter 37, Friday, April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C. 8:45 p.m., less than 2 hours to go. John Wilkes Booth summarizes the final details with his co-conspirators as the Lincolns settle into their seats. Though Lewis Powell checked out of his room hours earlier, the four men meet outside the Herndon house because of its close proximity to fords, with the exception of Atzerodt. Each man is on horseback. Though he has been drinking steadily on and off all day, Booth is thinking and acting clearly. None of the co-conspirators has any cause to doubt him. So, and I dare say, when they said he's acting and thinking clearly, even though he's been drinking all day long, what does that say about their state of mind? I mean, yeah, this assassination plot is perfectly plausible. These three men, I mean, come on, good gravy. Let's keep going, guys. Wow, this blows my mind. And we're going to read through 37, and then I'll take a brief break, and then we'll knock out the next two chapters. And thank you for being patient with me. All right, let's keep going. Wow, this is craziness. Yeah, so they don't have any cause to doubt him. First and most important, Booth tells them the precise time of the president's assassination will be 10:15 p.m. Unlike the night before, when the assassination plans had a haphazard quality, tonight's events are timed to the minute. Shows at Ford's usually start promptly. If that's the case, then Harry Hawk will be alone on stage, delivering his punchline at precisely 10:15. Second, Booth tells them the murders of Seward and Johnson must also take place at 10:15. The precision is vital. There can be no advance warning or alarm to the intended targets. The attacks must be a complete surprise. Booth hopes to create the illusion that Washington, D.C. is a hotbed of assassins recruiting in the sort of mass chaos that will make it easier for him and his men to escape. With officials looking everywhere for the killers, on streets filled with bonfires and spontaneous parades, and hordes of drunken revelers blending into the bedlam, should be as simple as staying calm. Liquid courage. Next comes the list of assignments. The job of murdering of Secretary of State Seward will be a two-man affair with Lewis Powell and David Harold now working together. Powell will be the man who actually walks up to the door, finds a way to enter the house, and commits the crime. So now if Seward's the same one they were talking about, he's a paraplegic right now. He's injured. He's sick in bed. He has a home health nurse, and it takes two of them to snuff out the life of a man who can't defend himself. I don't understand that thinking. Let's continue on, see how Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard tell it. Thanks for joining me. Wow. Ugh. During the murder, Harold must wait outside and hold their horses. Once Powell exits the house, so they got to have somebody for the getaway. He's the getaway driver with the horses. Once Powell exits the house, the two men will gallop across town by a roundabout method in order to confuse anyone trying to give chase. Then they will leave town via the Navy Yard Bridge and rendezvous in the Maryland countryside. As for George Atzerodt, he will act alone. Killing Vice President Andrew Johnson does not look to be a difficult task. Though Johnson is a vigorous man, he is known to be unguarded and alone most of the time. Atzerodt is to knock on the door of his hotel room and shoot him when he answers. Atzerodt will also escape Washington via the Navy Yard Bridge, then gallop into Maryland to meet up with the others. From there, Atzerodt's familiarity with smugglers' trails will allow him to guide the men into the deep South. Once the plans are finalized, Booth will head for Ford's. There, he will bide his time, making sure the theater's entries and exits are unguarded, that the secret backstage passageways are clear, and that his horse is ready and waiting. Ooh, Booth clears his throat just before they ride off in their different directions. He tells them about the letter he wrote to the National Intelligencer, implicating all of them in this grand triple assassination. The message is clear. There is no going back. If the men object to Booth outing them, there is no historical record to show it. Booth looks over his gang. These four unlikely men are about to change the course of history just as surely as Grant or Lincoln or Lee or any of the hundreds of thousands of men who died during the Civil War. They are now 90 minutes away from becoming the most wanted men in all of the world. He wishes them good luck, then spurs his horse and trots off to Ford's. All right, guys, that was 37. Let's just jump right into 38. Now, usually most books I do have a unique advantage as I've read them before, but I'm reading this along with you. So there's a lot of facts that I never knew that are being uncovered, a lot of interesting information that I think is worth a second look at. Let's keep going. Chapter 38, Friday, April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C., 9:30 p.m. Booth guides his mare into the alley behind Ford's. The night is quiet, save for the peals of laughter coming from inside the theater. He dismounts and shouts for Ned Spangler to come hold his horse. The scene shifter appears at the back door, visibly distressed about the possibility of missing an all-important stage cue. Booth doesn't care. He demands that Spangler come outside and secure the animal. The last thing Booth needs is for his escape to be thwarted by a runaway mare. And I believe when he purchased the mare, the seller actually told him that even when you tie the mare up, that it's prone to escape. So let's see what happens. And I want to say some chapters back that the horse became untied at one point, got away. Let's keep going. We're almost through. Spangler, completely unaware of the assassination plot, insists that he can't do the job. Booth, ever persuasive, insists. The unshaven, heavy-lidded stagehand weakens, but does not capitulate. His employment is contingent on moving the right scenes at the right time. He is willing to do anything for a great actor such as Booth, anything but lose his job. Leaving Booth in the alley, Spangler dashes back into the theater and returns with Joseph Burroughs, a young boy who does odd jobs at Ford's and goes by the nickname Peanut John. Booth hands Peanut John the reins and demands that he remain at the back door holding the horse until he returns. The boy must not leave that spot for any reason. So this boy, if he does his job, sounds like a better security detail than what was supposed to be the detail for President Lincoln that night. Let's keep going. Wow. Peanut John, hoping that Booth will give him a little something for the effort, agrees. He had no idea what he was going to give him. He sits on the stone step and shivers in the damp night air, his fist clutched tightly around those reins. Booth slides into the theater. The sound of the onstage actors speaking their lines fills the darkened backstage area. He speaks in a hush as he removes his riding gloves, making a show of saying hello to the cast and crew. most of whom he knows well. His eyes scrutinize the layout, memorizing the location of every stagehand and prop, not wanting anything to get in the way of his exit. Cowardly exit, if I might add. There is a tunnel beneath the stage, crossing from one side to the other. Booth checks to make sure that nothing clutters the passage. Nobody guesses for an instant that he is checking out escape routes. This one leads to an alley. Oh, wait, sorry. When he reaches the far side, Booth exits, boards through yet another backstage door. This one leads to an alley, which funnels down onto 10th Street. There's no one there. In one short dash through Ford's Theater, Booth has learned that his escape route is not blocked, that nobody is loitering in the alley who could potentially tackle him or otherwise stop him from getting away, and that the cast and crew think it's the most normal thing in the world for him to stroll into and out of the theater. And indeed, no one questions why he's there, nor finds it even remotely suspicious. Feeling very pleased with himself, Booth pops in Taltaville's for a whiskey. So we know who else is in Taltaville's, right? Lincoln's security detail, along with Lincoln's carriage driver. And Booth is going into the same bar, saloon, Taltaville's, whatever. Wow. Wow. He orders a whole bottle, then sits down at the bar. Incredibly, Lincoln's bodyguard is sipping a large tankard of ale just a few feet away. What am I about to do? Can I really go through with this? He pushes the doubts from his head. We are at war. This is not murder. You will become immortal. At 10 p.m., Booth double checks to make sure John Parker is still drinking at the other end of the bar. Then, leaving the nearly full whiskey bottle on the bar, he softly lowers his glass and walks back to Ford's. Now, I wonder what the bodyguard is going to do when he sees that full bottle of whiskey along with the carriage driver. All right, guys, last chapter. Let's do this. Chapter 39. Friday, April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C., 10 p.m. And remember, he said they're going to pull the triple homicide, but it's not murder. It's not murder now. He and his cohorts are simultaneously at 10:15 p.m. going to pull a triple threat assassination. They're going to get Seward, Lincoln, and was Grant the other target? I can't remember who the other target is. Let's keep going. The third act is underway. Soon the play will be over and Lincoln can get back to the White House. Meanwhile, the unheated state box has gotten chilly. Abraham Lincoln drops Mary's hand as he rises to put on his overcoat, tailored in a black wool specially for his oversized frame by Brooks Brothers. Wow, I didn't realize they had been in business that long. All right. The silk lining is decorated with an eagle clutching a banner in its beak. The words on the streamer are Lincoln's unspoken manifesto, and every time he slips on the coat, he is reminded of his mission. One country, one destiny. It reads quite simply. Sitting back down in the horse chair rocker, Lincoln shifts his gaze from the performers directly below him. He pushes back the privacy curtain, then leans forward over the railing to look down and to the left at the audience. Now, remember, they said that Lincoln leaning forward was the only view of him that the audience would ever get. The only people that had full view of him were the people in the state box with him and the actors on stage. Wow. Lincoln lets go of the curtain and returns his attention to our American cousin. It is 7 minutes after 10. At the exact same moment, John Wilkes Booth strolls through the front door of Ford's, heart racing, whiskey on his breath, skin clammy to the touch. He is desperately trying to appear calm and cool. Always a man of manners, Booth takes off his hat and holds it with one hand. When ticket taker John Buckingham makes a joke of letting him in for free, courtesy of the house, Booth notices the bulge in Buckingham's lip and asks if he has any extra tobacco. Like so many other minor theater employees, Buckingham is in awe of Booth's celebrity. Not only does he hand over a small plug of tobacco, he also summons the courage to ask if he might introduce Booth to some close friends who happen to be at the show. Later, Booth promises with a wink. Buckingham notes the deathly pallor on Booth's face and how incredibly nervous the normally nonchalant actor seems to be. As Booth walks off, Buckingham's fellow Ford's employee, Joseph Cessford, points out that Booth has been in and out of the theater all day. Wonder what he's up to, Cessford mutters to Buckingham. They watch as Booth climbs the staircase to the dress circle, which accesses the hallway to the state box. But neither man thinks Booth's unusual behavior merits closer scrutiny. They watch him disappear up the stairs and then once again return their attention to the front door and to the patrons late in returning from intermission. All right, guys, we're getting there. Rosie, don't take all my coffee. Please don't do that. All right, let's keep going. Wow. Woo. That's crazy. At the top of the stairs, Booth enters the dress circle lobby. He is now inside the darkened theater, standing directly behind the seats of the second level audience. He hums softly to himself to calm his nerves in hopes of increasing the theater's capacity for this special performance. Ford's management has placed extra chairs in this corridor, and now Booth walks past two Union officers sitting in those seats. They recognize the famous actor and then turn their focus back to the play. They make no move to stop him because they have no reason to. Booth approaches the door leading into the state box. It is attended by a White House messenger, but not a pistol-packing bodyguard. He sees the chair where John Parker should be sitting and breathes a sigh of relief that the bodyguard is still in the saloon. Handing the messenger one of his calling cards, Booth steps through the doorway without a question. In the theater box, a young girl who came to the theater hoping to see Lincoln has spent the night staring up at the state box, waiting for him to show his face. Now she is awed by the sight of John Wilkes Booth, the famous and dashing actor, standing in the shadows above her. At the same time, her heart leaps as Lincoln moves his gaze from the stage to the audience. Once again, poking his head out over the railing. Finally, with the play almost over, she has seen the president. She turns to the man next to her, Potteval's owner, Jim Ferguson, and grins at her good fortune. Wow! I never knew any of this. Did y'all? This is nuts. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Okay, let's keep going, guys. We're almost through this and we'll be done. for the day on this. And don't forget to join us tonight. My husband, Big Russ, and I will be doing an episode of the Vlogcast. We're going to be talking about many, many things, many current affairs. We're going to be giving our opinions, showcasing other content creators. All right, let's keep going. I don't know why I get so stuffy in the nose when I read. All right, let's keep going, guys. Sorry about all that. All right. Wow, this is craziness. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. Where did I leave off, guys? I just lost my place. I'm tripping out. Okay, here we go. Yep. She turns to get another glimpse of Booth, but by then he has already pushed through the door and now stands in the darkened hallway leading into the state box. He is completely alone. If he wants, he can go back out the door and get on with his life as if nothing has happened. The letter boasting of his deed has not yet been sent. Other than the other members of the conspiracy, no one will be the wiser. But if he walks forward down the hallway, then through the rear door of Lincoln's box, his life will change forever. Booth has a head full of whiskey and a heart full of hate. He thinks of the Confederate cause and Lincoln's promise to give slaves the vote. And then Booth remembers that no one can put a stop to it but him. He is the one man who can and will make a difference. There will be no going back. Earlier that day, Booth spied a wooden music stand in the state box. He now jams it into the side of the door leading to the corridor. The music stand has become a deadbolt, and Booth double checks to make sure it is lodged firmly against the wooden door frame. This seals the door shut from the inside. When he is done, the door might as well be locked. So perfect is his blockade. It's impossible to push open from the other side. No one in the theater can get in to stop him. As Booth already knows, the state box is shaped like a parallelogram. The walls to the left and right of Lincoln slant inward. Booth sees that Clara Harris and Major Rathbone sit along the wall to his far right at an angle to the stage, and the Lincolns sit along the railing. The Lincolns look out directly onto the stage, while Clara and her beau must turn their heads slightly to the right to see the show. If they look directly forward, they will be gazing at Mary and Abraham Lincoln in profile. But it is not their view of Lincoln that matters. What matters is that Booth, through the peephole, is staring right at the back of Lincoln's head. He can hear the players down below, knowing that in a few short lines, Harry Hawk's character, Asa Trenchard, will be alone, delivering his sockdologizing old man trap line. That line is Booth's cue, and just 10 seconds away, Booth presses his black hat back down onto his head, then removes the loaded derringer from his coat pocket and grasps it in his right fist. With his left hand, he slides the long, razor-sharp Bowie knife from its sheath. Booth takes a deep breath and softly pushes the door open with his knife hand. The box is dimly lit from the footlights down below. He can see only faces. No one knows he's there. He presses his body against the wall, careful to stay in the shadows while awaiting his cue. Abraham Lincoln's head pokes over the top of his rocking chair, just 4 short feet in front of Booth. Then once again, he looks down and to the left at the audience. "You suck, dologizing old man trap," booms out through the theater. The audience explodes in laughter. What a cliffhanger to hang. Oh my gosh. And I will tell you that Bill O'Reilly and Martin Dugard, they do give graphic detail. And I think there's a reason that they do that. Anyway, I'm going to end this live TikTok. Thank you for joining me, you guys. Thank you on all you Rumblers, YouTubers, Facebookers, Instagrammers, and Xers, formerly known as Twitters. My name is Regina Connell. Thank you for joining me for BBN Bobina's Book Nook, a division of the Bloodcast. So, you guys, thank you again. And we will see you next time right here on the vlogcast, the segment BB and Bobina's Book Nook. My name once again is Regina Connell. Please leave any and all feedback. We welcome it, and we'll get back to you. Thank you again, and we'll see you next time. Don't forget to join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's 1900 hours. We're going live. My husband and I, Big Russ, are going live, and we're going to talk about a bunch of stuff. I have released a few teaser trailers. So you guys, thank you for joining me, and we'll see you next time. Be blessed, y'all.